Chipmunks, welcome to the AMP Cycling Ride Review Series. I'm your host, Angry Chipmunk, and today we'll be taking a look at the Athens Riviera Greek Seaside Paradise route. Now, this route is available on Rouvy, so let's get right into it. This is a medium distance ride at 42 kilometers long and moderate elevation at only 400 meters. The route averages a mere 1% and maxes out at 7%. There are 2 Strava segments on this route, but neither climb is anything very difficult at all. The first segment is at about the 4 kilometer mark. It's 1.2 kilometers long with only 20 meters of elevation gain. The gradients here are very mellow, mostly in the 1 to 3% range, and it averages just 1.5%. Being such an easy climb, it's a fun one to push a bit harder and try for a good Strava time. The stretch before the next segment is mostly flat. You'll see a few hills along the way, but nothing serious. Expect them to top out around 4 to 5% for very short stints. The second climb is at about this 25.5 kilometer mark. It's 2.2 kilometers long with 60 meters of elevation gain. It averages only 2.7%, but this is where you'll see the max gradient of the ride. The first half is quite mellow, up to 4%, and the second half steepens and is mostly in the 4 to 5% range, with the peak at 7%. It's also not really that difficult or that taxing. Neither climb should require any special pacing effort. The rest of the route does have a few small hills along the way, and the gradients will steepen a bit, but they will remain under 6.5% for the remainder of the ride. If you are a bit tired though, don't underestimate the effects. The last few hundred meters are downhill, so if you feel like pushing for some watts PR, this is a good spot. Being that this route is so flat, you can get away with a shorter warm-up if you're going to use part of the route to warm up. It's a good one for pushing pretty hard though, so do warm up and cool down for your intended effort. I always recommend pre-fueling with protein to sustain energy levels, and given the distance on this one, I would recommend another 10 to 15 grams somewhere around the halfway point, especially if you're going to be pushing pretty hard. The entire route is suitable for refueling as it is so flat. It's not necessary to add a protein post-ride unless you've pushed pretty hard or you feel you need it. A magnesium supplement would be beneficial though. The view on this ride is pretty nice, but not spectacular. You're on the south coast of Greece next to the sea, but there's so much stuff between the road and the sea that you don't really get to see all that much of it. There are a few spots where the road is twisting along next to some cliffs, and you do get a much better view. It's still very nice to look at, especially the distant mountains, just not breathtaking. Overall, this is a fun little route that I would recommend for all skill levels. It's not very difficult, so even if the distance feels like something that might be too much, the low elevation gain makes it pretty easy going. It can easily be done at a leisurely rate or pushed pretty hard or something in between. I think these kinds of rides are always pretty nice from that point of view. This ride took me just under 1.5 hours to complete, so budget anywhere from 1 to 2 hours depending on how hard you want to go. For this route, I will give a 4 out of 5. It's not bad and it's pretty fun. For the climbs, 0 out of 5 and half point out of 5. Neither is very difficult and any skill level can complete them with ease. For the view, 3.5 out of 5. It's not terrible, but you are on a major looking road for a lot of it, so that does bring it down a bit. And not being able to see the sea very well is also a bit disappointing. There are several walls with some cool street art though, and it's always nice to see the local flavor. Overall, 4 out of 5. It's still a fun ride that can be as hard as you want it to be, and that's pretty cool. Well, that's it for this review, so thanks for watching, Chipmunks, and let me know what you think of the Athens Riviera route if you complete it. I'll leave you to finish the rest of the ride, and I'll see you next week for another review. Until then, ride on, Chipmunks, ride on.